Hello and welcome to Acnn News on the Hour, the major stories. Concerning the ongoing military action in Gaza between Israel and Hamas, Primate Ndukuba calls for peace and settlement. The Anglican Archbishop of the province of Kwara and Bishop of New Busa, His Grace, the Most Reverend Israel Amor, has called on Christians to focus on God in the times they are in. Plus, the president of the Women and Girls Organization in the Anglican Diocese of Abuja, Mrs. Angela Ndukuba, has reminded women that they are agents of transformation and they should live up to their calling. And now the news in details. The ongoing military action in Gaza between Israel and Hamas following the attack on Israel by the military organization has got many heads of state and international institutions, including the United Nations, condemning it, especially as it affects innocent citizens. Religious institutions and clergy are also not left out. Reacting to the ongoing war, the Primate of all Nigeria Anglican Communion, the Most Reverend Dr. Henry Ndukuba, calls for a negotiated settlement between Israel and Palestine, and that this is not a time to test new military machines.
We want to call for peace between Israel and Palestine, and we join our voices with that of Pope Francis. We join our voices with the leaders of the nations of the world to ask that let there be cessation of hostilities. The Palestinians are human beings. They have right to live and exist. Israel also are people that have right to live and exist. And we must look at war and destruction and demolition. Testing of new weapons will not bring any solution. We are asking that the negotiators between Israel and the Palestine, the Palestinian people should come to the table and let there be something that should be done. Military might will not solve this problem. And so let there be negotiated settlement. And it must have to do with give and take. And so we call for peace between Israel and the Palestinians.
The Anglican Archbishop of the province of Kwara and Bishop of New Busa, His Grace, the Most Reverend Israel Amor, has called on Christians to focus on God in the times we are in, where everything around us is broken, including the broken promises of the political leaders. He made this call in an interview with Acnn News correspondent Caroline Achumbe, saying the faithfulness of God is constant.
My advice is for all our Christian brothers, the young ones, the elderly ones, for us to focus on God. Our expectations from our political leaders appears to have been gone, is already gone. There appears to be broken promises, broken expectations. But now that we know that there's only one source that is constant, and that is God. His constant is ever faithful. If the world remains as it is today, it just shows that God is faithful. Otherwise, God would have killed all of us by getting angry, by getting annoyed. But God is not. He's still calling us and saying, return to me. So the Christian, all of us, should return to God.
The Anglican Bishop of Agwata Diocese, His Lordship, the Right Reverend Samuel Ezeofor, has admonished Christians to make themselves available to God, not considering the present challenges and situation they have been through, and make themselves temple of God. Bishop Ezeofor made this known in an interview with Acnn News crew in Abuja, saying, when all make themselves temple of God, everything will be put in place.
We live in a time when people are just thinking about physical things, and apart from physical things, they are thinking of what they are going to get from God in terms of what we call blessing. But we need to know who we are and who God wants us to be. Because when we become the temple of God that we ought to be, all these other things that we are running after and the challenges we're having, everything will fall into place. Because people are coming to the realization that, look, this is who we are, and we really need to make ourselves the temple of God.
The president of the Women and Girls Organizations in the Anglican Diocese of Abuja, Mrs. Angela Undukuba, has reminded women that they are agents of transformation and they should live up to their calling. While speaking on the theme of the conference, the aftermath of the Diocese of Abuja Women Conference, Mrs. Undukuba asked women to train their children rightly.
We, the women, we are agents of transformation. God is looking up to us to train up our children to walk blamelessly before Him. Not just our children, the children within our neighborhood, the places where we work, in our workplace, in our marketplace, anywhere we find ourselves, we should be exceptional. We should pass the message of transformation through our behaviors, through the way we relate to people, through the way we talk, through the way we carry out things that are committed into our care.
Other clergy wives and women leaders also commented on the theme of the conference and charged that Christians should live honorably before God.
So this is what this theme calls for: discipline for us as Christians. And again, we should be blameless. You know, in the service of God, we should be blameless so that no iota of eye service or hypocrisy will be found in us. And one thing about God is that anything they call to serve God is not without blessings.
As she has presented her address today, she expects every woman to go forth there and shine as light, to go forth and walk with God and be blameless. Because anything that have blemish cannot stand before God.
If we one-on-one go out there teaching the women what we have learned here, this country will be a better place. If we hear that all the women here that are gathered for this conference, we put what we have learned into practice and begin to teach it to others, the world will change.
I believe that if every participant of this conference will have something to take back home, I'm sure the society will be better. Our homes will be better, because there are a lot of lessons, you know, when you talk about walking before God blamelessly. It has to do with setting yourself apart. Even as the presidential address came, it was really powerful with a lot of instructions for us to take back.
And now let's cross over to Lagos. In a heartwarming celebration of a good life, the clergy and clergy wives, along with friends and family, gathered to honor the wife of the Bishop, Diocese of Lagos, on her special day. The occasion marked another year of God's faithfulness and preservation in her life. The Thanksgiving service took place at the Archbishop Vine Memorial Chapel, located within the Archbishop Palace, 29 Marina, Lagos. The Right Reverend Gabriel Okukbeve, the diocesan bishop, led the congregation in commemorating this significant milestone, emphasizing the remarkable journey of faith that Mama Lagos has undertaken. During the service, the Venerable Aurelua Agbelusi delivered a heartfelt sermon capturing the essence of Mama Lagos' influence on the lives of countless individuals. He highlighted the profound impact she has had, underscoring her unwavering dedication to faith, family, and community. The celebration was not merely a recognition of Mrs. Okukbefi's birthday, but also a tribute to the extraordinary woman she is. In the midst of heartfelt prayers and shared stories, attendees expressed their gratitude for the positive influence Mama Lagos has had on their lives. Happy birthday, Mama Lagos. Meanwhile, the president of the Christian Association of Nigeria, Archbishop Daniel Oko, has joined other well-meaning people and clergies to call for love, unity and care for humanity to reign supreme across the globe as he asks the war in Gaza between Israel and Hamas to come to an end in favor of the human lives which are being affected. While visiting the St. Mathias House in Abuja, he said anything that diminishes human life should be discouraged.
Anything that has to do with, diminishing the value of human life should be condemned outrightly. Whether it is a terrorist action or it's a war, but anything that will reduce the sanctity of life should not be supported by any human being at all. So we speak on behalf of humanity, and we plead that whoever that is involved in the bloodletting in this should reconsider other options, dialogue, so that we have a peaceful environment.
You are still watching the news on the hour. Still to come, World Council of Churches outraged at news of Israeli attack on hospital in Gaza. This story and others will come your way after the short break. Kindly stay tuned.
Hello viewers, welcome to this week's episode on Health Watch on Advent Cable Network Nigeria. I am Angela Emeka Ebibo.
What we need as humans is to have a good spiritual life. It's more important than having an abundance of possessions without a healthy spirit.
We have issues that relate to sexual affairs. There is something called consent. If a person says no, that means she or he hasn't given their consent.
My mother delivered children on her own. A baby that is too big, how do you want it to come out without having issues?
Your faith does not negate you going for a medical check or engaging in a medical therapy. It doesn't.
The patient has his own right, and this right has to do with the right patient, the right drug, the right dose, the right duration, you understand? Even the right time in how it is given.
On this show, we focus on the journey from girlhood to womanhood and everything in between.
You hear such comments like it's not ladylike, because there is a way a lady should behave.
Please, don't ask a man out. I beg you. We are so cultured that the day you do.
It is in that place of fellowship that you get to discover all these things.
You discover yourself?
Yes.
Biology-wise, women are able to progress faster into addiction than the men.
Don't crucify the woman for wanting financial security.
Remember, every woman is worthy by design.
Thank you for staying tuned. If you're just joining us, you are watching the news on the hour. For more on our top stories, please visit our website at acnntv.com or our social media platforms on facebook.com or youtube.com/ACNN Television. To be up to date with our news and other programs, download the Avo TV app from Google Play Store, and you can also advertise your goods and services on Acnn TV. Moving on, Nigeria's Supreme Council for Sharia, Christian Association of Nigeria, and Pentecostal Fellowship of Nigeria failed to reach consensus on Nigeria's role in the ongoing Israel-Hamas war in the Middle East, as the Sharia Council has asked the federal government to reassess its ties with Israel, and Acnn and PFN said Nigeria should maintain neutrality in the crisis, but focus mainly on the humanitarian crisis emanating therefrom. The Sharia Council, at a briefing by its president, Sheikh Abdul Rashid Hadiyatullah, called for a comprehensive review of Nigeria's relations with Israel, saying until Israel respects international law and the rights of Palestinians expressing severe concerns over what it described as genocide in Palestine, and criticized the international community for its failure to address the root cause of the conflict. Disagreeing with the Sharia Council, the National Deputy President of the Pentecostal Fellowship of Nigeria, PFN, Archbishop John Praise Daniel, urged the federal government to maintain neutrality and focus on the humanitarian aspect of the conflict, noting that the conflict had led to a humanitarian crisis, with women, children and people dying due to lack of food, water and shelter, but urged the federal government to direct its attention to this aspect of the crisis. The Christian Association of Nigeria Ebonyi State Chapter has promised to continue to pray for Nigerian leaders during the inauguration of her newly elected executives. The inauguration was performed by the Acnn National Secretary, Pastor Samson Fatotun, who represented the Acnn National President, Most Reverend Daniel Oko, at the Christian Ecumenical Center, Abakaliki, Ebonyi State Capital. Speaking at the event, Governor Francis Nwufuru, represented by his deputy, Princess Patricia Obela, charged the association to avoid unfounded criticisms against the nation's leaders, saying, inasmuch as criticisms are necessary for the growth of any administration, it should be done maturely, devoid of acrimony and lies, capable of destabilizing the polity. The governor also urged Acnn and indeed all Christians to pray for their leaders in order to derive good leadership from them, encouraging all to be good ambassadors of the church and to take the message of good morals to their various denominations as a means of curbing social vices ravaging the nation at the present time. The General Secretary of the World Council of Churches, WCC, Reverend Professor Dr. Jerry Pillay, has expressed shock at the news of an Israeli airstrike on the Al-Hali Hospital in Gaza, in which at least 500 people have been killed and thousands of Palestinians who had lost their homes were taking refuge at the hospital run by the Anglican Church, saying the attack amounts to collective punishment, which is a war crime under international law. He added that the international community must hold Israel accountable for the crimes committed against civilians, as they said the attack makes no sense, since it was directed against the hospital, church property, patients and families who were seeking refuge from relentless assault by Israel. According to reports, Reverend Professor Dr. Jerry Pillay, the attack came on the same day when church leaders in Jerusalem organized a day of prayer for peace in Gaza, and he said time has come to call for a new approach to peace based on justice, stressing that let the tragic events in Gaza serve as an impetus for a new reality where Palestinians and Israelis will enjoy peace, dignity and security. Meanwhile, the United States President Joe Biden is scheduled to visit Israel, condemning the heinous attack against the hospital, asking the government of Israel to stop the violent assault of Gaza and open a humanitarian corridor, adding that the Middle East has seen plenty of violence and bloodshed. But time has come for a new approach to peace based on justice. Viewers, you are still watching the news on the hour. To end the news, here's a recap of the major stories. Following the attack on Israel by the military organization concerning the ongoing military action in Gaza between Israel and Hamas, Primate Ndukuba cast for peace and negotiated settlements. The Anglican Archbishop of the province of Kwara and Bishop of New Busa, His Grace, the Most Reverend Israel Amo, has called on Christians to focus on God in the times they are in. And plus, the president of the Women and Girls Organizations in the Anglican Diocese of Abuja, Mrs. Angela Ndukuba, has reminded women that they are agents of transformation and they should live up to their calling. And so with that, we'll draw the curtain for this edition of the News on the Hour. We want to thank you so much for watching. I am Phoebe Aguirre-Hugh. Do have for yourselves a lovely weekend and God bless you.
No matter how many bishops come to attend the synod or any service in the diocese, only the bishop can carry his pastoral staff, his cruzier. All other bishops cannot come with their cruzier or their pastoral staff.
The church has come to bring it to your notice that this man that